Hi everyone, from me, Brent Graham of Good for the Game, and welcome to this Tour de France Stage 20 preview. If I sound enthusiastic, well, I am looking forward to the stage, but I got to admit to being a bit disappointed by what we saw in stage 19. I really expected a bit more action. I think today we're going to see a big battle for the break. We'll get into that in just a few seconds' time. If you're new to the channel, well, you're getting involved very late in the Tour de France, but hit the subscribe button and the bell and you'll get notified of our stage 21 preview that will be out Saturday night or on Sunday morning. Not the usual Champs-Elysees sprint, I can tell you. We also appreciate any likes you can give us. Let's talk, though, stage 19. The stage was shortened to 95 kilometers. Also, was never going to be the longest stage at 129, but it made it very difficult for the break to stick. Primoz Roglic was a bit of a surprise aggressor. He went away, but UAE kept everything very much in check. And when Vacalin actually started struggling, that was almost a death knell for Roglic's break, because then Uno X Mobility started working on the front for Johansson, and very much never got more than about a minute, and ultimately got chased down. Roglic finished well down the pack. The final climb, well, Arensman attacked the lead group twice, and the second time he got away and stayed away. But it really was a weird stage, because I know Pogačar wanted the stage. I think Vingegaard also wanted the stage. But when Pogačar attacked, Vingegaard was on his wheels straight away, and he just refused to do any work. Now, on the one hand, I can certainly understand that. I mean, why pull Pogačar all the way to the line, because he's just going to beat you in the sprint? So he tried to get Pogačar to do the work, but Pogačar, I think he would rather Arensman have won the stage than have Vingegaard come around to win the stage. So I think they should have just raced the start of the climb or the middle section of the climb a little bit harder. They could have given themselves time to recover and caught Arensman fairly easily. Take nothing away from the winner, though. Brilliant race. He finished in the end 2 seconds ahead of Vingegaard, who finally got the better of Pogačar. Lipowitz, he held on very nicely to his third place in white jersey. Oscar Onley, who came back very well yesterday, he did okay. He started fading towards the end, but also a good ride. And of course, he didn't have Primoz Roglic to worry about. Felix Gall there, 134 back, and basically most of the top 10 there or thereabouts. We'll have a look at the yellow jersey action now. Roglic, well, he finished 12 minutes back, so he dropped 3 spots to 8th. Geld going up 1, Johansson going up 2, Vacalin, he's actually still there in 7th. Check out the gaps, though. 10th place, 34 minutes behind Pogačar. I mean, second place, 4 minutes behind Pogačar. So some huge gaps, and I can't recall ever seeing a tour with a gap of 34 minutes between a first and 10th. So, nothing much to be decided. I think everyone, I'm looking here, I don't really see anyone finishing anywhere other than the position that they're in at the moment in Paris. Right, let's have a look at the green jersey. Also not going to worry about any betting. Well, there's no real betting on these now. Milan's just really got to stay upright to win this. He's 80 points clear of Pogačar, and he will win the green jersey. Pogačar, by the same token, will win the King of the Mountains. There's not that many points out there now, and Vingegaard and him are always going to be close together. He's 13 points clear of Vingegaard there. So no real action in the jerseys to look forward to. The young jersey also pretty much wrapped up, as is the team classification. Right, let's have a look at the stage. Now, perhaps at first glance, you think a bit disappointing for a sort of second last stage. You expect mountain passes, but let's face it, at the moment, the way this tour is, mountain passes are not a guarantee of action. I did tweet or post on X earlier that, let's be honest, this has not been the most exciting Tour de France. I always say there's no such thing as a really bad Tour de France. I'd rather have a bad Tour de France than a normal day at work, I can tell you. But it hasn't been a classic tour, partly because of Pogačar's dominance, partly also because Almeida went out. I think Pogačar, you can see he's actually said he's bored. He's not enjoying this Tour de France. He's evidently a bit sick as well. And he's just missing, I think, what he loves to do, and that's racing bikes. He doesn't like racing defensively, and he cannot wait for the tour to end. I think if Almeida had been there, it would have been a very different tour, a very different story. It's also, I've got to say, the route probably hasn't been the best as well. Anyway, let's get into the stage 20. As you can see, straight off the bat, the riders got a Cat 3 climb, 12.1 kilometers at 4.1%. So it's not that steep, but it's long. And there's a good chance that the break will form on this climb. And to get away on this climb, you're going to have good legs. And that's the thing at this stage of the tour. Who has the legs? I mean, you've got Domestiques who are going to be allowed in the break. Guys from UAE and Visma should be allowed. But a lot of them have been working really hard in the mountains over the last couple of days. Do they have the legs? I'm thinking in particular here of a guy like Wellens, who's ridden absolutely superbly also a Campenarts for Visma. So interesting to see what happens there. There's a good chance there's still a big group together at this point. They then go up another Cat 4 climb, 5.7 kilometers at 4.2%. Also not the stiffest climb, but it appears to climb quite a bit after that as well. And if you actually look at this terrain, it's very much up and down all day. Not necessarily a lot of big climbs, although that Cat 2 at 3.6 kilometers at almost 9%, yes, it comes a long way out. But given the terrain after that, every chance of some decisive breaks. So I think what we're probably going to get in this stage is a pretty big breakaway that goes away initially, and it's going to get whittled down on this very, very tough route. And then we're going to have a much smaller break of the strong men of the tour. And I'm thinking of guys like Simmons and Van Aert that are going to be away together. But will they all come into the finish together? I very much doubt it, because we've got another Cat 4 climb there, 2.5 kilometers at 5.5%, with 160, so about 24 kilometers to go. And then even after that, the terrain is not really that smooth up until you get to perhaps the last 8 kilometers. So every chance that we have a solo winner here from a late attack. The other alternative, I would say, would be a sprint, probably with 3 or 4 riders coming to the end. I'd be very surprised if this ends up in a GC battle. It's also a long stage, and I think UAE will ride at the front. You're going to see that if he's not in the break, which I don't think he will be, you're going to see Niels Pollitt at the front of that peloton again for a long time. Having said that, maybe Pogačar will give him the nod, and he can try and get his reward with the stage when he certainly is riding very strong at the moment. I didn't mention the sprint there after 72 Ks, but Milan doesn't have to worry about that, and I expect him or his team to rather put a few riders like Simmons and potentially Stuyven into the break. World Sports Betting Special has been very good, particularly when backing short price favorites. I'm not too worried about it in this stage because my bets are small and the returns are potentially big. You could say that I'm going to be throwing a few darts at this one. And just to give you an indication, they're betting 9-1 and better the field here. Quinn Simmons, who seems to be on everyone's lips at the moment, he is 9-1. Wout van Aert 11-1. Wout, I must tell you, was my first choice. But the problem is, there's going to be a group together at some point, and they're going to be racing hard against each other. And Wout and Simmons will both be very heavily marked in the group. And quite often you might need a guy who's maybe not as well marked to go clear. So it's going to be very tactical. It's very hard. Not anybody can win this stage. If you go look at that profile again, it's not an easy stage. It's not a mountain stage, but it's certainly not an easy stage. So you can see all the way down to Mohoric at the bottom there at 40-1. So what have I done? I'm throwing a few darts here. And if you think they're anything other than darts, then unfortunately you overrate me. Right, let's have a look. I like Roglic at 40-1. So Roglic got into the break, and unfortunately he wasn't let go for various reasons today. And then the moment the bunch sort of caught him at the bottom of the final climb, he just faded away and he finished 12 minutes back. Now, I just liked what I saw about him on the bike when he was in the break. It's the smoothest I've seen him looking on the bike this whole tour. So perhaps he's running to some form. Maybe he was totally spent when he was caught, but I think it was more the disappointment of not getting a chance to fight out the stage at that point. So I think his morale was low as opposed to his legs. And, well, we'll see if that's the case tomorrow. I'm expecting Roglic to go in the break. He's my headliner here. I'm nearing the end of the tour. It's been a profitable one, not a massively profitable one, but I got a few rand to throw around. I'm throwing a unit at Roglic at 40-1. The next one, I'm not going to spend too much time justifying. He's done nothing in the tour to justify his selection here, but I've been on him so many times, just throwing small money his way. But at this stage, in theory, should suit him quite well, Mark Hirschi. I don't know what's happened to the guy. He used to be such a top rider, but he still has the ability, and I'd like to think that he can get into the break. And who knows, from there, he could be that one guy who could sneak away when others are watching it. Let's call it the bigger names in the group. This price surprised me. I might be missing something. Turgis, 249-1 at Bet Exchange. Remember, he delivered for me last year at 130-1 in a stage. And the thing with Turgis, he's a good sprinter. So if it comes to the end, he can sprint and win from a small group. And he's also a good classics rider. So I am quite surprised. He might battle a bit on those initial climbs, but he's not the worst climber in the world. And he's a pretty tough bugger. I think Turgis is, I'm not saying he's going to win the thing, but at 249-1, I'll throw a few rand at him, that's for sure. Another guy who's impressed me, actually, both his teammates Philipsen and Van Aert are out, but he's impressed me in the mountains, is Caden Groves. He hasn't really featured in the sprint finishes, which is normally his strength, but he's looked very strong in the mountains. So he's the type of sprinter that I could see getting into the breakaway on those initial climbs, hanging in, and he won't necessarily have to try and go it alone. He would like it to come to a bunch sprint of 3, 4, 5 riders, because the chances are very good, aside from the fact that maybe Wout van Aert might be with him, but that he will be the fastest there. He's 99 to 1. And finally, another sentimental pick, Aramburu at 40 to 1. I did note he climbed very well on the Mont Ventoux in stage 16. So I'm going to put him in here. But if I could say that Hershey and Aramburu are very much just loyalty picks more than anything else for me. Anyway, it should be a good stage to watch. There's a bit of Currie Cup rugby on TV, but I will certainly be focusing on the Tour de France. And let's hope we get a really entertaining stage. I think with this particular route, it is going to be entertaining. There's no ways that we're going to get any of this sort of rather boring racing we might have seen over the last couple of days. Thanks, everyone. We'll be back for the Stage 21 preview. It's normally very short and sweet, and it probably will be again. But we've got quite an interesting change to the route, which means it's certainly not guaranteed to be a sprint finish. And I've heard, I think it was at Groot-Lem, who's on X and on WhatsApp with me, was saying that he's heard that Pogačar may even be targeting the stage. And I can actually imagine that Pogačar having a good chance as well. We'll see you Saturday night or Sunday morning for the Stage 21 preview. Thanks very much, everyone. Enjoy the stage.